Hi, Paul Higgins here. What we're going to look at is how to create a chart from Google Earth Pro. Now Google Earth, in particular Google Earth Pro, has made it very difficult for us to create a chart directly from Google Earth. First, they turned off the API that allowed Sat2Chart to access Google Earth directly and move things around and create a chart. Then they turned off all the old versions of Google Earth, so you couldn't use one of them that had the API. So it's now very difficult to create a chart from Google Earth, but not impossible. So what I'm going to show you is the Google Earth setup, the Sat2Chart setup. We're going to create a cap chart. Then we're going to create an MB tiles chart. Now we're going to use the Google Earth historical imagery, just in case what we're looking on Google Earth is obstructed by clouds or something. And then we're going to take and display those charts on OpenCPN. Okay, let's look at how we're going to set up Google Earth. So go to Google Earth here. The first thing you have to do is make sure we're not showing the toolbar. We can show the status bar, and we can show the navigation automatically. That's these controls over here. In fact, they're kind of important because we want to make sure north is up when we do this. And that's about it. Then we got to go to the tools options here, and first the general option. And we have to set the language. We have to set it to English USA. Now, unfortunately, I don't support the other languages. The reason is Sat2Chart is going to interface with Google Earth by sending it hotkeys. And the hotkeys for the other languages are not the same all the time for the English one. So to make sure that I can send the proper hotkeys, we got to use Google Earth, or we got to use the English Google Earth. The next thing is in the navigation, you want to check the do not automatically tilt while zooming. So as we're zooming in, it's not going to turn the screen on Google Earth. And next thing is the 3D overview. You can use any of the OpenGL or Direct. I prefer you use the decimal degrees, and the unit of measure should be meters and kilometers. And the most important thing here is down on the elevation exaggeration. It's set to 1. We have to set it to 0.01 or you won't get a good chart. And that's about it as far as that goes. And we have to restart Google Earth to make sure this works properly. So we'll just close Google Earth, close it, and start it up again. Now the next thing you want to do is when you have selected a place to create a chart, for instance our good old Marina Hemingway down here, Marina Hemingway. And go to the View tab here. And you want to make sure that you want to turn the grid on because you want to check something here. You want to make sure, first off, you notice that the latitude and longitude lines are curved. So the first thing you should do is press the letter R on your keyboard. That'll straighten it. And then if we go into what we want to make a chart of, we have to make sure that we have at least 2 horizontal lines and 2 vertical grid lines. If you don't have that, it's not going to make a good chart. Okay? Once you have established that you got the proper number of grid lines, you can turn them off. In fact, you should turn them off. Okay, and what else? Let's look at the sidebar. You got all sorts of things here. You might want to keep them on. It's showing the places, the photos, the streets and everything, the borders, the label. That's okay. You can leave those on. And we'll turn off the sidebar. Okay, so it's all set up on Google Earth now for creating a chart. That's how you set up Google Earth. The next thing we have to do is make sure SatChart is set up. So let's go to SatChart. Got her down here. Whoops, no, that's not it. It's over here. So here's SatChart. And usually we create charts using SAS Planet. And I recommend you use that. In fact, it's got some very good maps of Google Earth and many other maps. So I would suggest you use that. But if you insist, you can go to create the chart from Google Earth. Now you notice it open this window here. Just leave this blank. This is for doing overlays. That's another tutorial. And let's see, we're going to create a cap. The depth units are going to be unknown because there's no depths on a satellite chart. And we come up here and we look at the Google Earth options. And the main option here that we're concerned with is the typing delay. Remember I told you that SatChart sends to Google Earth and to SAS Planet commands, keys, hotkeys, and you have to make sure they get there in the correct order. Sometimes if this delay is too low, they won't get there in the right order. So make sure this is at least 500, let's go back up here, 500 milliseconds start. Then there's 2 options down here, 2 check boxes, and I'll talk to you about those later. Go back to the main tab, you basically follow what it says on here. On the Google Earth display, display the chart. We did that already. This is the area we want to make a chart from. And what else does it say? In the chart location field, give it a name. So that's down here. This is the directory we're going to put it in. And we're going to call it Marina Hemingway. Okay. And you might, just before you start doing this, go back to Google Earth and hit the letter R just to make sure that it's straight. Okay, we're all set up, I believe. And we press Create Chart. And what it does is first thing it does is bring up a place mark right in the center of the screen. So I know the center of that screen is at a certain latitude and longitude. Then it turns on the grid, turns them off again, and goes ahead and makes the chart. So we created a chart. Marina Hemingway cap. Now we could view it here by hitting the view button. And there's what it looks like. But later on, we will actually look at it on OpenCPN after we make the MB tiles chart. So that's all there is to creating the cap chart. Okay, the next thing we want to do is create an MB Tiles, but we're going to use the Google Earth historical imagery. So if I go to Google Earth here, I can turn on the historical imagery. So it allows you to use this little slider here to pick another view of Marina Hemingway at some other time. So suppose there was clouds all over this. You can take this and move it back to some other date, maybe here, where there is no clouds. So once you got that selected, you go back to set your chart here. Now I want to discuss one other thing. On the Google Earth options, there's two check boxes here. One is called use the add pull down to create a place mark, and the other one is use the edit pull down to copy the screen. What that means is if you go back here, if you want to add a place mark, that's one of the first things Set Chart will do. It'll send Control plus Shift plus P to bring up a place mark. You'll put it right dead in the center of the screen. I'll just show you. What was it again? Control Shift plus P. Control Shift P. Doesn't work. Control Shift P. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I brought up a place mark right here. That's the dead center of the screen. So that's what Set Chart is going to do. Send that kind of command to it. But sometimes there are other programs that are running that are also capturing those keys that Set Chart is trying to use. So if you go back here, you can say don't use those hotkeys. Use the actual. It'll actually bring up the edit screen or the add pull down screen and select it without using a hotkey. So we'll turn that off for now because we're not using any hotkeys on other programs. Okay, we come back here. We set up our area on the on Google Earth. We're now going to create a MB Tiles, and the depth unit is still unknown. And we're going to create create chart. There's our place mark. Brings up our grid, turns it off. And it created, oh, I forgot to give it a name. I forgot to put in the name here. I should have called it Marina Hemingway again. So let's go take a look at that directory, and I'll just rename it when we get there. So, chart testing. Here's our chart testing directory, so I'm just going to rename this Marina Hemingway. Okay, so that's all there is to creating an MB Tiles and making sure you got this correct setup for the historical imagery and those two check marks on the Google Earth options. And the final thing we're going to do is display those charts on OpenCPN. So I'll go to OpenCPN here. And we're going to do a scan as soon as it allows us to. On the options. Okay, there we do select the charts. We got our directory there. So we're going to be able to find those two charts that we just created. We click OK. And it probably worked, so now we got to go find Marina Hemingway again. over here. No, that's Philippines. Over here. Go down to Cuba. And we go into around this area here. And it should start showing up. There's one of them. Where the heck is Maria Hemingway? Havana, Bahia Honda. Oh, here they are. Okay, right in here. So you notice we got now two charts. A cap chart. Let's take a look at it. There's our cap chart we created. And there's our MB tiles that we created using historical imagery. So that's all there is to displaying them on OpenCPN. Okay, I showed you how to do the Google Earth setup. One of the most important things was you had to use the English language, and you had to set the exaggeration terrain to 0.01. We set up the Satu chart, and we looked at those Google Earth options. We made sure the typing delay was at least 500 milliseconds, and then we created a cap chart, and then we created an MB tiles chart, and we used the Google Earth historical imagery, and we displayed those charts on OpenCPN. Thank you for watching.